Hi, it's Chris Titley here. As part of the Sub 11 Uncovered series, I'm joined by Scott Austin, CEO of Paylab. Thanks so much for coming into
Thanks for having me.
the studio on a beautiful Brisbane day.
It is
out
indeed.
there. Scott, for the listeners out there, I'd love a bit of an understanding about your background and how you got involved with the business Paylab.
Yeah, sure, Chris, and thanks for having me. My background's in technology for the last 24 years, starting with smart card and RFID technologies, so a little bit niche.
Yep.
But from that, it really took me in many directions over that last 24 years, from everywhere from supply chain technologies, asset management, payment. And
What about the Y2K bug 24 years ago?
wasn't that fun?
No? We sort of had a mini Y2K bug over the weekend here.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably worse than the real Y2K.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's really my career. I've had my own startups. I've been on publicly listed companies around the world and sort of all around the world. I've had 10 years in Singapore and 3 years in Seattle. And I came back to Australia from Seattle about 3 years ago, and just through my consultancy have been just doing a number of business building, supporting management consultants. Generally, I get in and try and fix things or fix things that are broken, or support with fundraising activities, so it doesn't take away from the management's day to day.
Day to day, yeah. And then let's get on to Paylab. Can you give us a little bit of a history of the business and then the point when you joined?
Yeah, so the history is quite interesting, and it was started by a baker, one of the largest bakers in Australia that actually supplied.
Probably the first of a startup that I've heard started by a baker.
Yeah, supplied Aldi with a lot of their baked goods.
Yep.
And a builder/property developer. And they started it on the basis of, look, they were running their own businesses and would regularly have people asking for wage advances. And it was sort of a situation where if they give it to one, they had to give it to many. But they really saw that, there was a need out there, and they didn't like saying no.
Yes.
And so that's that's the background for the start of the business. It's about 3 years old, and it's been through its own journey. It went into VA. There was some issues at board level which they had to work through. Got it out of VA. They funded it the whole way through. The tech team is a really strong, stable, and mature tech team that have been on that path with the founders throughout that time. And I've come on board about 3 months ago to support the scalability of the business, I suppose. Some activities around fundraising to support that scale. But at the end of the day, to really take the baseline product in a direction for success.
You talked about the waged access there as the product. Is that the same product as the original founders had the idea? Is Paylab still doing exactly that?
Well, like every startup, there's an element of pivoting, right? So
absolutely. I've pivoted more times than LeBron James, I reckon. So.
Exactly. So from that perspective, they started with that salary advance. The name of the company used to be Wage Splitter, which says it all. Now, that has had traditionally a bad taste in Australia because some of the payday loan schemes and things out there. But if you look at that business now across the country, it's about a $4 billion business.
Yeah, wow. And I reckon it's very huge in the US, I've heard as well. Yeah.
Look, it was very big in the US. It was very big in Singapore when I was there, and it was really part of the payroll system that was used by a company, and it was part of a range of employee benefits that the company could offer. Now, I think a number of things have changed in the marketplace. Certainly, it's tough times out there.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you do? Do you enable employees to access cash and support their cash flow at varying times during the year or the salary cycle, or do you force them to go and get credit at very high, expensive interest rates?
Yep.
So from that perspective, we charge a baseline fee for accessing up to 50% of salary or whatever we determined with the employer.
Yes.
Everything's done through the payroll and B2B. So we work with the company. And what we found is that really we've had to pivot during those years to support a rewards base for the employee.
Yep.
So now we have a really strong platform integrating into MYOB, Xero, Reckon, a number of other payroll systems, accounting systems, and essentially that's providing employees with rewards, wage advance. It's also providing the ability to donate to the company's charity of choice. We've done some amazing partnerships in the marketplace with other companies that maybe have large membership base as well. So it's not just going to be through employees. It can also go to members of associations or businesses. Right. Yeah.
So the B2C versus B2B play, I mean, I'm interested to know why you've chosen that path, and also I suppose you mentioned about the acceptance or education around advanced wage access in Australia. How do you think it is going? You mentioned that 4 billion market, but is it broadly now more employers thinking that it's probably something that they should offer to their employees?
Well, I think it has changed, and I'm seeing a very much a changed narrative out there when it comes to advanced wage access. Some of the large payroll platforms have built it into their platforms. But so we're really addressing those small to medium-sized businesses who want to offer employee benefits and maybe don't have the ability to afford those large systems that are out there for payroll. So in saying that, I've seen a change even since the time I've been back.
Yeah, right.
And so from that perspective, I think it's tough times out there. And we're fulfilling a need of the marketplace. We're doing that responsibly. We're also really looking at empowering the employee around their fiscal ability to...
The education, the wellness, financial wellness.
Exactly.
Right?
It's the financial wellness. And we probably don't like to use that term because it's used a lot and often it's a throwaway. But it is. It's about being savvy, enabling the employee or the member to optimize their spend. And so from that perspective, we have seen the reward side of our business growing. We've got a huge number of people now that can access our platform. We chose the B2B route as opposed to the B2C purely because of the exposure to fraud that B2C. Yeah, and so we're looking at some technologies that will enable us to better support our B2C capability in the future. But at the moment, we really want to focus on working with employers, working with large membership groups and helping them to help their people.
You've mentioned rewards a couple of times. I'm curious as to know what the rewards are, how that works, and some examples.
If you go to Paylab now, that's all you can access is the rewards platform. We're about to turn the button on for the wage advance. We've got about a dozen customers in Australia using the wage advance system. So at the moment, it is all rewards, and that's through digital gift cards.
Okay. Yep.
And
so it's offering a percentage off that,
Yeah. As soon as you buy and spend that card, you get cash points back in your wallet, and you can use those again to purchase. We're about to launch a new card this week, which is a prepaid debit card, or it's still a gift card, but it sits in your Apple Wallet or Google Wallet. You get 4% off at over 25,000 restaurants, bars, cafes across the country.
Okay.
Now, that adds up.
No, sure does. And you mentioned 4% then. What are the discounts? Are there somewhere between 1% and 10% or something like that? Or is that...
Yeah, look, it single digits as low as 2-3%.
Okay.
And then you go up as high as 15%. And so we do regular promotions weekly to let people know what's on promotion, what retailers are doing advanced promotional activity on our platform, what retailers are doing their own sort of discounts or sales, so that you can use our gift cards on top of that and sort of get an extra discount, so to speak. So I think Amazon had their big sale last week, which was offering some amazing discounts. We offer an Amazon gift card as well, which gives another few percent on top of what they're already getting. So that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, definitely all adds up. I'm also curious around the pay cycles. People get paid, weekly, fortnightly, monthly. To my understanding, what sort of access can you allow? Is it sort of daily, or is it weekly, etc.? If you pay monthly, or is it dependent on the cycle?
It really depends on the cycle and the employer, what they want to do, and we can go as low as 1 day.
Yes.
So people can access on a day-to-day basis if they need to. I think the terminology being used in the market for that one is wage streaming, which I found quite an interesting
didn't know
term.
that, so there you go.
There
wage
you go.
streaming. So that's a daily basis.
Daily
you work
basis.
at a bar for a day or half a day, or etc., and you can get your money that evening or the next morning.
Exactly.
Or something. Okay.
Look, the normal cycles obviously fortnightly or monthly, and generally most employers will say let's enable staff to access up to 30% or up to 50% of their salary for that period.
Yeah, and the period that we're going through, as you mentioned, it's pretty tough out there. Have you done some research or got some research around how tough it is for people and what the impact is on advanced wage access and making sure that people can pay those bills? Because if they don't, they go into default and their credit score goes down, etc.
Yeah, look, a lot of the research out there is actually historically bad.
Yep.
And I think that's where we want to change things. The CommBank did some really interesting research around financial wellness and management. I think that was last year. And it really pointed out some different socioeconomic groups, some different skill sets around managing money. And actually, Chris, you're pretty young, but it was...
It was my birthday on the weekend, 43. 43 years
congratulations.
Young. young indeed, yes.
So I think it's actually our generation between your age and my age where we're probably the worst managers of money from the perspective of credit. And
it's interesting because I got my first credit card auto approved, by the way, when I was I think it was 18 or 19. I've had the same credit card since then, and I remember those auto up limits.
Yes.
Back in the day, and it's like, would you like an extra 3,000? It's like, oh, okay, why not?
Yeah.
Not knowing really, broadly speaking, what I was doing. In the early 20s, because that's the time that you're spending a lot and having fun and going travelling and all these things, and then popped up and says, oh, you're a very good customer. Would you like another extra $5,000? Yeah, sure, why not? Like it's really, there was a no-brainer back then, but obviously that's been alleviated and sort of phased out over the last 10 years or so.
It has been, but paying off 20% credit card fees is not a pleasant thing to have to live with. And I think so. You have different demographics, I think, when it comes to credit. And the Commonwealth Bank research was very interesting with regards to that, which pinpoint, okay, well, actually the middle-aged population has a lot of issues. A lot of the younger people don't want to get credit cards.
And that's why Afterpay, I suppose, was a threat to that industry, and that saw a huge boom up in terms of acceptance of those types of products where you don't want to get the $15,000 limit, but you might have $500 roaming outstanding.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we have to manage different groups out there in a manner befitting their different needs, and they are very different. I think young people are used to working and living in a debit world and spending the money that they have or they earn, and they don't want to go down that high interest credit card route. And then you'd be amazed the biggest users on our platform are with retailers like Coles and Woolworths buying food, which is insightful in itself. The other side of our platform is really starting to build out other aspects that enable day-to-day savings. But the average spend by our users on the platform is about $550 a month.
Okay.
So that's gift cards being purchased to use in supermarkets or clothing outlets
or something.
And now the prepaid debit card, the cafe card, we're calling it, is that's going to be able to sit in your wallet You buy it and you get 4% discount on that. So when people are going out to dine or having a cup of coffee, they can now use this conveniently through
But it
their
all
app.
adds up, doesn't it? I mean, like it is tough out there in terms of the cost of living, and there's so many articles and so much press around it. But saving 50 cents here or a buck here, etc. on a transaction you do normally
Yeah.
over the course of the year, it makes a material difference. Yeah, it fills up your car for however long, right?
Yeah. So we're looking at some different initiatives, what to do with those savings. So we've done an agreement with Rent.com and RentPay.
Yep, the listed company.
Yeah, and that's amazing. They've got over 500,000 people on their database. They've got, I think, 20 to 30,000 people a month going through putting resumes together for renting a house. And they, of course, have people on their RentPay platform. So what we've enabled with RentPay is that they can actually now offset their rent through their rewards balance.
Okay.
And so that's another area where, I don't have to pay the
Rent
full
is high,
rent.
of course.
Rent is high.
Yeah, yep.
So it's initiatives like that that we're working with large partners on facilitating and building some of that access to greater financial wellness.
And Scott, you just touched on then in regards to the future of the business. And put your hat on in 12 months' time, and we repeat this podcast. Where would you like to see the business?
Well, my background's payment. So I think that probably I have a natural sway to look at scaling the business towards more paying directly from the application.
Yep.
Obviously, some licensing issues that we need to look at within Australia to support that ability. I think there's some fiscal responsibility that we can do around savings, around potentially putting those rewards towards superannuation, for example, or putting those rewards to other areas of day-to-day that we can
Ordinary
empower.
activities, I suppose. Yeah.
Ordinary activities
Yep.
that, if you can get discounts out there, if you can get rewards, then great. I think the other aspect for me is I really want to build out the rewards platform so that we've got more and more scalable levels of reward there. That's important from not only the user's perspective, but from our business profitability perspective.
Yep.
So, I want to get travel holidays on there. We're looking at introducing wine purchases. We're looking at other areas around premium rewards so that that can make lifestyle a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, no, for sure, and certainly, thinking about booking an expensive holiday, if it's $2,000 or something, you're getting 4% off. That's your first day travelling cost, for instance, or hotel or whatever it might be. So there's all these different things.
Chris, I'm using it every week. I travel to Sydney.
Yep.
We've got Webjet and Flight Centre as gift cards. I buy gift cards and buy my tickets online. I still get my frequent flyer points.
Yeah.
I still get everything.
And it's a regular behaviour, broadly speaking, in terms of your day-to-day of what you're doing in your job, etc. So
and it sits in my wallet.
Yep. Scott, thanks so much for having a chat today
Thank you.
Paylab, the origins of the business, how the business is travelling thus far, and obviously some future plans, which we will endeavour to find out in the next 12 months or so. Thanks for coming in and looking forward to catching up again.
Thanks for having me, Chris.